Hello and thank you for joining us. In this presentation, we're going to be talking about how to keep business moving even from Microsoft Outlook. Now you're probably wondering, should I be watching this video? Well, here's a couple of questions to help you get to that answer. Do you work in Microsoft Outlook? Does an email arrive in your inbox before you actually have a location to store it? Do you have specific folder structures for your deals, your projects, and your matters? Is it important to maintain standards on how your users store their content? Is the folder structure that needs to be built for the different types of deals and projects and matters specific? In other words, based on a certain type of deal, are there certain types of folder structures that need to be created? If you answered yes to any of these questions, well, it probably makes sense to watch this video. So let's get started. Here we are in Microsoft Outlook, and of course I've got an email that just showed up. It's got a couple of attachments, looks like a link as well, and I want to be able to store these as quickly as possible. So I'm going to right click that email. I'm going to go to Quick File to Alfresco, and of course it looks like these are for MSI Fund 5. That's where they've got to be stored. So let me do a quick lookup on that. MSI. Looks like I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4, but no 5. Therefore, no place to store this email and its attachments. So I'm going to have to go off and build a place for storing the email and attachments. So these are all for MSI partners. So I'll come up here and I'll do MSI partners. And yeah, no 5. All right, gonna have to build it. So I'm going to hit plus here to build a new location. And I'll just type in MSI Fund 5. And of course, I've got other metadata here I can enter. And of course, whether it's selecting from a drop-down list that can be managed by the appropriate business users or entering text field, it's all configurable based on your solution. So your solution will have the metadata appropriate for you guys. Team, private. Again, red indicates a required field. That means it has to have a value in order to move forward. So here I've got my 3 pieces that showed up. My email right here that showed up. I need to put a doc type on that so I can search for it later. And that's a correspondence. I'll use correspondence. Effective date of today is fine. Term sheet, we'll do the same thing. Want to make sure I can find that based on certain metadata like term sheet. Pitch book, we'll put that under due diligence and marketing material. Now you'll notice I've got these 2 attachments which came in, but you know what? There's a link here as well. You can download the K1 from this link. So in other words, this link needs to be downloaded, or this file needs to be downloaded, and then also brought into the system. So let me go off and download that file real quick. So now I've downloaded that file, but I want that to be part of this save process, save to the appropriate location and so forth. So I can simply do add attachment, and I can go, oh, here's that K1 I just downloaded. I'll double click it. Now it's here, and now I can go off and add the appropriate metadata to it. That way the link that became the file that I downloaded can be saved in conjunction with everything else for this email. And I can attach a type and a subtype for it as well. And for a date, effective date will be the 30th. So now I've assigned my metadata for the individual files, so they'll be stored and searchable rather easily, as well as created and added all the metadata for this new storage location that is to store the files to MSI Fund 5, all from inside Outlook. So all I do is hit save. And everything is created and stored appropriately. Here we are in Alfresco Share, and of course I've logged in as admin, so I've got the administrator dashboard. If I logged in as my name, I would have my name here, dashboard. So from here I'm able to go take a look at the location that I created for Fund 5. So here it is right here, MSI Fund 5. I can click on that, and of course it built this entire site all from that email. Here's all the metadata that was automatically assigned. As you remember, we filled out that metadata. Here's the content that was added to that site. If I go to document library, because of the type of fund I selected in the metadata, it knew what folder structure to build. So it automatically built the appropriate folder structure with all the rules for metadata inheritance. All this was done from that email. So I'm going to do a quick search now, advanced search, and I want to find fund documents, fund name, so I'll type MSI, and I'll hit search. And here are those 4 documents we did. And if I click on one, let's click on the K1, remember that's when we added into the process. Here is that K1 document that we had downloaded. You'll notice it's filed in statements, audited financials, obviously automatically filed by virtue of the metadata we assigned. Now, if I scroll down, you'll also notice email. It came from this email. So there's a link back to the email that was used to find it, or I should say to store it. So here's that email that originally came in. All right, that's an email we looked at. If I scroll down the email, you'll see the 2 attachments. Remember, there were 2 attachments that were also stored, as well as that K1 file that we looked at a few moments ago. So the idea is when I store that email, it has links back to the attachments, and the attachments also have links back to it. So from the pitch book, you see I go back to the email as well. So you're able to store that entire email, its attachments, that K1 file, all together, linked all together so they can find each other, as well as, of course, we built that entire site based on standards by virtue of the type of fund. It built out the appropriate folder structure. So what did we see? Well, the ability to create a site or folder structure for storing content from inside an email, the ability to assign metadata to attachments and have business rules store the content in the correct location. We saw the ability to ensure that folder structures created for your deals, your projects, your matters are consistent. The idea here is to maintain compliance as well as business-driven best practices, all from inside MS Outlook. We hope you enjoyed the presentation, and please reach out to us so we can help you like we help our other clients.